Hello students, good evening. Good evening students. Last time when I was talking on TikTok, we had reached a level where we were looking at the literature review. And in my previous videos, I had covered the theories that anchor your study, and I had also covered the empirical review. What empirical review is. Just a quick recap. I covered empirical review by saying that you look for empirical review using your variables. You look for empirical review using your variables. You can either use your independent variable or the dependent variable. And when I say using your variables, I mean using studies that have at least one of your variables. Remember, at least one of your variables. Or the subvariables of the independent variable can also be used. If you have a topic, you get a research paper, you get in a journal that has used one of your variables as their topic or one of the subvariables as their topic, then that is an empirical review. And therefore, getting empirical review, you search for papers, you search for research studies that have been done using one of your variable. For example, let's take our model topic, motivation and performance. So if you get a topic that is talking about motivation and staff retention, then that means that is an empirical study because it has motivation as a variable, as independent variable. When you get a topic that is talking about that it has one of your subvariables, for example, in motivation and performance, you have defined motivation as staff development, as bonus, as job rotation, as inclusive participation of employees. Now, you have defined your motivation as career development, as bonus, as inclusive participation of employees in decision making, or any other, or using even benefits, fringe benefits is also a motivator. And you get a study that talks about fringe benefits and performance of employees. That study will be an empirical study to your study because it is using one of the subvariables of the independent variable. And so the independent variable and the defined variables, which I call subvariables, and these are usually the variables that are in the conceptual framework. If you get a topic with one of those variables, then that particular study is an empirical review. It's an empirical study because it is having one of your variables or one of your defined variables. Now, how do you that's the second part of the literature review. Remember, first part are theories that are related to your study. And these theories should try to explain the interdependence of your two variables, independent and dependent variable. And so the theories that can explain the interdependence of your variables, then those are the theories that anchor your study. So, how do we get the second part of the literature review is the empirical review. And this empirical review, what you need to do is to come up with a summary of these studies. When you are recording, documenting empirical review, you do not need to explain anything. Remember, you do not need to explain. You need to give a summary. How do we get these summaries? In most studies, if I just give you a shortcut, in most studies, summaries are gotten from the abstract. You can get a summary from the abstract. Remember, summary of empirical reviews are from the abstract. After you have identified that empirical review in relation to the variables or subvariables that you have, you may find that some abstracts are not comprehensive enough, because some abstracts are the ones that represent the summary of the study. You may get an abstract of a study that is related to your study, but the abstract is not comprehensive enough. So what do? You get that study and summarize. How do you summarize a study? The things to look for when you are summarizing a study. One, identify the topic, the author, year of publication, the geographical location of the study, and the industry of the study. 1. The topic of the study, the author of the study, the year of publication, the geographical location, and the industry of the study. Because when you identify a topic, it will show whether that topic is related to your study by the kind of variables that topic has. It will be able to show that topic as an empirical study by the variables in that topic. 2, in the summary, the next thing to put in the summary is the target population. 3, make sure you have the sample population. 4, make sure you have your research questions. In that summary, because you indicate the research questions of that study, because that is what will actually authenticate the empiricality of that study to your study. Now, 1, identify the topic, the author, year of publication, geographical location where that study was done, and the industry where that study was done. 2, indicate the target population and the sample population. Target population, sample population. 3, indicate the theories that were used in that study, not your study, that study. Indicate the theories that were used in that study. 4, indicate the research questions or the objectives of that particular study that you are reviewing. Indicate the objectives or research questions that that study was reviewing. And remember, as we mentioned earlier, objectives, research questions, and hypotheses are one and the same. It's only the stating that is different. 5, indicate the design. Which design are you going to use? Is it descriptive? Is it correlation? Is it qualitative? Is it quantitative? Is it explanatory? And remember that there are some studies that can take more than one design. There are studies that can take more than one design depending on the study. So try as much as you can to make sure that you indicate the designs that are related to your study. We have gone up to number 5. Indicate the designs that are related from the study. Don't just put there qualitative. or don't just say descriptive and you leave it there. Indicate all the designs that are relevant to your study. Ciao, we meet again.